So I want to admit, I have no problem admitting I was wrong, but I also, about being deposed today, I couldn't imagine what else it was. I was acting in good faith when I thought I needed to get cleaned up for a deposition. Whether it's court, it doesn't, when I say deposition, it doesn't necessarily mean sitting down with a bunch of lawyers and giving testimony, or whether you're in a courtroom, which is even worse. What if I needed to testify against somebody in some arraignment? I didn't know that number on that thing was 2B was arraignment's court. I know I didn't have any pending charges. I knew that the whole arrest at the park was theater for the park ranger. When I left the jail, they did not give me any paperwork about a court date. I've been arrested enough times for stealing from Wall Street in their little retail stores to know that when you're arrested and you go to jail and you're discharged, you're given a bunch of paperwork. Matter of fact, everybody who was at their arraignment had their paperwork to show the public defenders, if you want to call them that. I didn't have any of that. I wasn't given a court date until February, March. I went in to pick up a package or something at my P.O. box, and Kate was there, and the officer made sure he pulled me out of there so she had no fucking valid claim of stalking. And went out to his car and came back with a incident number. I didn't know that's what that was. Nobody told me shit. I figured I was testifying in some sort of sealed something, because all this shit is sealed. And apparently, I don't know why why put it off so long. If you needed me to identify the guy, I don't know if he's the court clerk. I don't know who. He's a big fucking slob to be working for the court. And I'm talking about the dumpy looking fucker that had the short sleeve button up that was plaid. He had on a ball cap and he had glasses, though they were more narrow than mine. Hiking shoes, some sort of like little Dickies, the Dickies, or maybe some cargo pants. I wasn't paying close enough attention. But he had his keys instead of having his lanyard around his neck, he had it in his pocket, and the lanyard that would normally go around your neck was flopping out of his pocket. That fucking slob. What judge lets any of their court staff look like that? Now, when I first got there, he had paperwork in his hand like the other defendants had, and he was talking to the defense attorneys, and whatever he was saying, it sounded like I guess he was talking about somebody else's, but I just thought he was talking about his own charges. Apparently he was talking about somebody else's, and they were far enough away I couldn't really tell. So I thought, okay, he's definitely involved in the shit, though I couldn't place where I seen him. And I'm like, where the fuck I knew he was involved, because he had this weird, like, sort of nervousness about him when he saw me, and I'm like, where have I seen this grimy motherfucker before? Maybe I just recognized. Did I see him? But I knew he was part of the gang stalking. And then it hit me. He was at Miller Center. So that means he's one of Paul Dragon's and Weinberger's and Judge Hoare's boys. And he works at the fucking courthouse. His office is across from courtroom 1A. There's, courtroom 2A, and then there's, 2B, and then there's, maybe it's 2A. Anyway, whatever that courtroom is by the window where you can see the high school, right across from the entrance into that courtroom, there's a little corridor, very short corridor that has 4 doors. And his is the office that's closest to, it's not the back corner, it's the front corner on the, if you're facing down the court, if you're coming out of that courtroom, it would be on the first door on your left, I believe was his office. Because when I went over, I was trying to figure out where he kept going. He kept going back there, and where's he going? I was hoping to see a nameplate on a door. So I went over to look out the window, and there was 4 office doors, but 3 of them were unoccupied, so he had to be in that first one. Is he the clerk? I don't know who the fuck he is, but he's a fucking slob, and he was at Howard. He was at I believe at Miller Center, which means he was part of that. He wouldn't be allowed to work at Miller Center if he wasn't in on the shit. There's no fucking way you get to work there if you're an honest person, if you're not involved in the scams. And remember, the last time I was there, they were trying to get me to go to the food shelf to get a bus ticket, so I could go tell my dad how they were all falsifying their records with false criminal allegations against me and false criminal allegations against him to kill him. And this is Paul Dragon, who's a fucking health official or an oversight official at Vermont Human Services Agency and CVOYO, which is contracted with the Sheriff's Department, with Cousy, with the police department. And I have to go all the way to Georgia to tell Dad? No, why can't you go tell him? He was mandated to tell the sheriff. And by the way, he doesn't have any Fifth Amendment rights. None of them do. They're all mandated by law to self-report. Which Chad isn't self-reporting either. None of them are. So when I finally get a fucking chance to sit down and do the goddamn restraining order or relief from abuse, I'll make sure I include, I don't know his name. I didn't see a nameplate. If I had felt better, if I wasn't so tired and I didn't dose with my pain medicine, so I was in a lot of pain. I could barely walk. I was didn't really get a whole lot of sleep. For some reason, the train wanted to pull up and stop, that loud motherfucker, for I don't know how long, right when I went over to go to bed. And there was something else going on that I couldn't get to bed any earlier. I don't remember what it was. And so I only got like 6 hours of sleep. So after 1 o'clock, I didn't hear back from Officer View, so I scratched out. And I really haven't thought about that I completely put it off because I thought I was going to be testifying against somebody today, which explains why everybody's still alive, because that motherfucker works at the courthouse. He knew it wasn't shit. He knew that number was. So they've probably got all of those communications between him and everybody else. Well, guess what? Now you're all really in trouble. And Autumn Caton, you put her on the fucking bus again today, I immediately get off. I sit back down on the bench. She's not on the other side of the bus, but she's facing the opposite direction. She's rubbernecking, turning around, breaking her neck, trying to see what I'm doing because the bus was stuck in traffic. That's all on video. I'm holding my sign with my middle finger sticking up in my lap. That was in my lap. So she's going to have some fucking explaining to do. I don't give a fuck if Judge Shafritz is corrupt. Once this restraining order is filed, somebody's going to have some. The judge is either going to do like Congress, all those Republicans and Democrats who went ahead and signed the Epstein Transparency Act to make themselves look like they really wanted transparency when they know damn well they don't. It's called posturing. Regardless of who gets, what judge gets the assignment, I'm going to make sure that judge knows that whoever that guy is in that office across from 2A or 1A or whatever the hell it is, I'll actually go in and ask the marshals what court is directly across from what court, what's the number of the court that's, I may even ask him who the hell he is, and I'll tell him he's a suspect and I need his name for a restraining order. He's a public official, they can't not tell me. So I'm going to make sure I file a restraining order against Judge Hoare, and that she knows that some clerk for the judges or whoever the guy is that has an office across from 2A and works with, that has something to do with the court process and arraignments and maybe other court stuff too, it may not just be limited to arraignments, is a part of it. Was involved in the crap with Paul Dragon and Howard Center and CVOEO, the Justice Center. I mean, everybody was working it. Whoever worked at Miller Center, since that Miller Center shelter was not a permanent shelter, it's just a temporary thing that happens on extremely cold nights. Paul Dragons and is only going to choose his closest criminal allies to get that money. I'm sure they get paid very well. And they've got to be people who's going to cover his ass and falsify the records on those of us like me who are domestic violence and trafficking victims that he's not accurately documenting and doing an assessment and making proper referrals to